Welcome to the Realm Studio. This is Paula, and I've just taken a dose of Benadryl, and I just turned on my computer, and it said that Windows 10 is scheduling an update for 9:04 p.m. And if I don't want the update, then I should click the thing that says I don't want the update. Guess what? It disappeared before I could click anything. So if my computer abruptly restarts while I am using it at 9:04, that will be in 1 minute, you know why. So now I'm a little bit concerned. I'm not sure if I want to open up Clip Studio. What am I going to do? Let's see. Let's start up the chat box thing. Log in. No, I'm already automatically logged in on the other thing. Why? Let's scoop my to-do list and let me see. I do know my password, just not right now. Alright, my recent documents. I've got my links that are all blacked out, but they still work. Copy. Oh yes, there's my print order for the posters. Those have been shipped now. That's very exciting. Paste and go. Alright, there we go. Chat is ready to display messages. We'll put that up here beside my OBS screen. Okay, it's 9:04 p.m. This is the time that the Windows update has prophesied that it will ruin my life, or at least my art stream. Okay, it's 9:05 and nothing happened. It's like Y2K. Okay. I don't see any abrupt restarting stuff going on. Anything going on? Okay. So let's open up Clip Studio Paint EX. Ow. So I was running a little bit late in the first place because yeah, I don't know what's going on with my sinuses, but I think they're trying to kill me. And I took a Zyrtec. This morning, and it's supposed to be good for 24 hours, and I noticed absolutely no effect. But who knows, maybe it stopped it from getting worse. If I get too sniffly, I'll turn off the volume and attempt to continue until close to 10 anyway. I'm really tired. I was tired before I took the Benadryl, 10 minutes ago. Alright. So far, I'm getting more votes for Baby Dragon for the enamel pens. And, excellent news, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, I don't know anything anymore. But my comic is due to be printed sometime in June. It's on the schedule, and these people are professionals, and they've done this more than 1,000 times before, because they've been printing Alterna's comics. And mine will be just like Alterna's, and Alterna did the pre-press for me. I'm really excited about that. So I know everything's going to look just as good as Alterna's comics do on newsprint, and that's fine by me. I think that their books look really great. And I need to order more of some of the partial series that I have. I have Tinseltown 1, 2, and 3, and I believe it's the first printing of Tinseltown, and that's kind of rare. It's had to go back to print a few times, I think. So they've even instituted at Alterna a buyback program, and Tinseltown is on the list of comics that they would really love to buy back. But since I ordered it, volumes 1, 2, and 3 at the time, ow, my tea is too hot. Okay, and it's like the third time I've drank from it, so I'm not learning anything. Okay, so I ordered 1, 2, and 3 from Alterna, and then well, what layer am I on? Okay, maybe it was the normal layer that I was working on with this color. No, it was not. I've lost track of everything that I knew. Okay, so this right here, this is all the multiply layer that's left, which looks really cool. I may actually make a copy of this and put this on some products as well. That it's just the shading without the flat colors. Let's see. Here, we'll just use the selection tool. Right. So that was not in the light grayish. That was somewhere in bright tone? Dark tone? Deep tone? Maybe it was deep tone. Nope, doesn't really look like it. Alright. So I'm going to play around with the hair for a little bit, and then I'm going to go back, open a new file, because this one here on the hand studies, this page is getting kind of crowded. And I don't really want to do a whole lot of zoom in, zoom out on studies. I was talking about something, and I don't know what anymore. And that's how it goes. Yeah, so I don't know what I'm trying to accomplish here by doing an art stream. I'm already a little foggy with the whole sinus thing, and I've just made the problem worse. It's going to kick in any second now with the Benadryl. I don't know if it's going to do anything other than make me sleep really hard. But it was liquid Benadryl, so it should start soon. So yeah, today I actually came back from running errands, and tried to keep it together for a little bit, and I thought I'll close my eyes for about 5 minutes, then I can get through the rest of the stuff I need to do. Yeah, 5 minutes turned into a few hours, and now I have no idea if I'm going to sleep, which is the best time to take Benadryl. Surely some of my sleep debt has been paid. Okay, what else are we working on right now? Okay, so last time I remember, vaguely, that I wasn't really happy with this hand, but that was while I was zoomed way in on it. Zoomed out from it, it's not bad. I'm gonna have to do some background at some point. It's really looking that cute. So I have tried everything to clear up my sinuses and feel less miserable, and I'm not having a lot of luck with that. Okay. Zoom in, come on. So I've had hot tea, I've had milk, I've had honey, I've had ginger lemon kombucha, and I've had, a ton of extra water. And so far, yeah, I'm still miserable. It's not good. So we have some leftover sushi in the refrigerator. Maybe for breakfast I'll just eat the wasabi and see if that does the trick. Okay, multiple layers. Yeah, I think this got a little bit iffy right here with the shape. Okay. Okay, the shape of the pupil here could use some adjusting. Which layer was that? Or, well, no, it's the shape of the iris. Okay. We'll take this. Blend this out a bit better. Oh, nope. So eyes are very tricky. I mean, even though the shape, one of the common misconceptions is that the shape of the eyes has to match exactly. Well, it doesn't. You know, especially if your character is turned ever so slightly, you're going to have a unique shape to each eye. That's just how it goes. But you do have to master the art of having them look in the same direction and fixing the focus of the eyes so that they look like they're looking at a specific distance. Let's see. And in this case, I think the eye that I was working on is actually more consistent than this one. Now I need to go fix the other eye. Okay, so it's not going to be forward so much. Make that a little bit darker in the pupils. You'll notice that I'm using a dark greenish black and not a flat black on the pupils, which is something I'm experimenting with a little bit. I've noticed a lot of anime doesn't use black in the pupils at all. They just make the whole iris and make the pupil of the iris a darker color. Also something interesting. You get too much into the uncanny valley effect if you get a higher level of detail on the eyes than you have on the rest of the, or well, a higher level of realism on the eyes than you have on the rest of your picture. So yeah, photorealistic eyes on even a slightly cartoony picture freaks people out. Alright, what was I doing? Now, right here, I do have a couple of little scratches and artifacts in here. I'm not quite sure what's going on with these. It's not in this layer. It's not in the multiply layer. Is it in the overlay? Oops. I still have that on. Okay, that was just in the overlay layer. That particular one was. These I don't really know. Let's find. Okay, and that scratch right there is in the multiply layer. Ooh. Does not need to be 300. Okay, I'm starting to lose my place already. That's not good. Alright, so she's a good bit less vague now. Her eyes are like looking at something. Might still need to adjust precisely where they are. That's a bit better. I'm gonna need to do a lot of detail work on her right hand. Now, let's see. We put the line layer on this and, it looks fine. But I like it better as a painting. Because you can see all the color work on it. And it's not, fighting against my less than ideal lines. Okay, so let's see. I could just add another layer to this and hide this one. There. Instant blank canvas for our purposes. Alright, so the next thing to do about hands after you, well, let's pop that back on there. After you have like the basic shape of the hands, which usually I like to do the block and the wedge. And then you can decide from there whether the thumb is on this side or on this side. And then you count out your fingers and determine the placement of them, starting with, first knuckle, and then you got the middle knuckle, and then the fingertip, which you have to keep in mind is going to have this curve. And pretty much any shape that you can put your hand into, which is a lot. You can build on it, on the skeleton from there. I was going to do like a little clicking ballpoint pen there, but there's not enough room on the other side for the pen. Brain, where did you go? Okay, let's hide that layer. Well, look at that. I put it on the wrong layer. Now that you know what the basic shapes are, the blocks for building hands, we got to do gesture. Now, it's really easy to make stiff, blocky looking hands, but now you've got to do gesture, and you have to be thinking about your character as you do gesture. This is a feminine line to a hand. She's mostly off screen here. She's off that way. It's going to be flowy, petite, delicate. The fingers are going to be straightened flat out. Now, a more typically feminine gesture is to brush lightly with like this part of the fingers. You don't generally put the flat of your palm down on a table. That is a more masculine gesture. Like he's not lifting his fingertips, they are on that table. And there's weight down here. The weight is going to be in the heel of the hand, not in the fingers. Yeah, he's standing over there. They're sharing a table. All right. So let's erase this nonsense. And let me see if I can pull enough of my brain together through the haze of sinus issues and Benadryl to work on some gesture. All right. What have we got? So once you've done your blocky hands for a bit, you have an idea how they go together. Then for gesture, you draw in gesture. So you have your long lines. You do a lot of these like a balloon. You know, you've got your head shape and then your spine coming down. So for this one, if say this is a little girl dragging a teddy bear, somewhat like in the Rescuers movie. I like that one. A little sad, a little sleepy. Teddy bear's your best friend. It's a little too far over. Let's see. The knee's going to be about here. We'll check our proportions before we get going, even though it is just a sketch. It's got weight like this. And you know, the structure and its own stitches. working against gravity. I have drawn this really small. That's okay, that's what zooming in is for. Hang on. I did not want to zoom in on this. Okay. So here we've got 2 examples of gesture. So let's pop another layer on top of that, because we got a lot to go over. Let's go with a lighter color. First we've got the hand gripping the other arm at about the elbow, and we've also got this hand gripping the arm of the teddy. Alright, so back up a little bit. Now our box where our fingers are going to start curving, it's going to be about here. And our wedge is going to be here. This is the time to pause, think, and remember which side the thumb belongs on. It's coming off this side and going behind the teddy bear's arm. Let's do him in a lighter color too. So there's our box and our wedge. And since this bear is squishy, it's going to follow the line of her fingers. The natural curve of her fingers, with her pinky finger being the shortest. So our bear here is getting squished in her grip. Alright, pop that back on there. Now, this grip is going to be slightly different than this one. Alright, this hand is going to be more tense. As it comes through here, it's going to have a bend, a flexing back at the wrist. See, here the wrist is straight through here. Here, at the base of our wedge, it's going to bend back a little bit. So here is our box. And our fingers are not going to curve in naturally because her arm is a lot stiffer than the bear's arm. So they're all going to stay about the same height across the knuckles. Okay, so you see the arm comes in at a slightly different angle. Let me make that a little more clear. Yeah, arm comes in at a slightly different angle, creates a bit of a jog here at the wrist. And this is bent, comes toward, comes out, towards you. And the thumb is back this way. We hardly even see it. because it's gripping around this arm. Oh, goodness. All right. Hang on just a second. I'm going to turn off the volume. Getting too snuffly. Okay, I can breathe without thinking too much about the back of my throat and my nose. Alright. This is a terribly thin child. This is like Slenderman's child. Okay, thank you, autosave. It wasn't necessary, I don't think. Though I'm still kind of waiting for Windows 10 to say, oh yeah, it's time to update. Whether you want it or not. We gave you the choice, we just didn't let you have time to do anything. Okay, so I'm continuing drawing the gesture and the draping. I suppose she could be a little bit thicker through here. Alright. So there's going to be a little bit of a crease that comes across this leg. And raises up the hem a little. I'm going to erase out some of that. But then this one is going to come out and the hem is going to drape. So what you have to remember is that when you're drawing, you're going to have a whole lot of sketchy, you're going to have a mess. Just go ahead and own that part of the process. Because how else are you going to get your skeleton drawn? With the gesture and the life that you need. If you can't work quickly and somewhat messily, then your drawing will lose all its life. So at least at the sketch stage, you have to move quickly and don't expect too much of yourself. It's not going to be perfect. Oh yeah, I forgot the feet. Alright, so if the knee is here, oh yes, and when you're drawing feet, don't forget they are entirely a wedge shape, because you don't really have to do the box and the wedge, but you know, if you do, it's a longer wedge. It's got a curve. You have to go ahead and decide which side is which. You don't add on the thumb later. And pretty much you don't have to do much beyond your first knuckle. But that's really only when you're looking at the bottom of the feet. When you're looking at the feet from the side, you have, well, that's a bit of an extreme angle. You have essentially a wedge. That's still an extreme angle. Let's do it more like that. Pretty much the entire thing is the wedge, because the toes are so short that you don't really have to build a whole lot out in terms of those. Let's see. That's kind of running into things, so we'll get rid of that. Alright, where are we at? What are we doing? Who am I? Let's see. When you're working on proportions, like this one has more cartoony proportions, and also it's a child, so the head's gonna be kind of big. But generally, a head and a foot are about the same size. Oh yes, the overall length, well, not length, but height of the figure. Let me check that. Hit the screen. Alright, what we've got is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. Like, we'll add one more layer to this. So here's our little person, right? There's the line going from the spine down the leg. So here's, she's looking down a little bit, so we're getting some of the top and back of her head. So this is about how tall her head is. 2, 3, third one hits right at the waist. 4, fourth one hits just above the knee. 5 is shin length, and then here we have 6 at the ground. More or less. It's eyeballed. It's not perfect. So an adult is generally going to be 8 heads tall. And you know, the length of the foot will be about the length of the head instead of the head being a little bit outsized. And the length of the hand will be about the size of the head, more like the size of the face. And that's just length. Width, however, that can vary a lot. The important part is to lay out your spine and the height of the spine. So, I don't know. I've done it a lot. Let's see. Oh, yes. And see here, her shoulder is down a little bit. And here's her elbow right here. So there's an arm. And there's her forearm to her wrist. Her hand, if she was not slumping like this, her hand should hit right about mid-thigh. If she was standing straight and squared up. I mean, still the arm might be a little bit long, but I can work on the shoulder a little more. Let's take that off. So that the line of the shoulder is down more. And possibly the crease of this elbow is up a little higher. Then that's gonna correct some of what was going on here. I'm sorry, it's wonky. But the important thing is I caught it. And a little bit more depth to this little gown here. Alright, so that's gesture. That's a whole mood right there. Yeah, I think I got this barrel a little wonky too. I think his little arm needs to be shorter. So let me see. What did I forget? I mean, let's see. I have different ages on each of almost all these hands. This one's about medium right here. Let's undo that. This one's very old. Over here I've got like a feminine hand. Right here I've got a kid over here in the beige. So let me see. Should I work on foreshortening? It's gonna turn out wonky. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. But if we have a hand on a table, fingers facing us, we've got mostly our box. We've got our wedge back here because we can see a little bit of the top of the hand. I'm thinking that the thumb's going to be right here. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to try for more of a masculine hand, which is going to take up more of our box. And the fingertips, since they are foreshortened, they're going to be very close in. And they are going to follow the rounded line. This one's going to come out further. Possibly this should be spread more from there. Let's go over it in a darker color and see if I've laid out my box correctly for shortening. Well, it's not bad, but I'm a little hesitant to call it good. I mean, this thumb is outsized from the rest of it. That should be corrected right there. Yeah, I think that this thumb muscle needs to be bigger. Okay, I'm starting to lose all sense of time and sense. So I guess it's gonna have to be all. I just have to quit anyway. I'm so tired. Benadryl's kicking in, I hope. Other than the tired thing, I hope. I mean, I'm still really stuffy. But there we have it. So let's save and quit. Just going to continue doing hand studies on this. Because really, you cannot practice hands enough. Nobody ever does. Vote for whether you would prefer to see a sea dragon or a sea unicorn or a baby dragon enamel pin. When I launch the Kickstarter for that, like right around the print date for the comic Soulbound #1 Adrift, which should be printing sometime in June, so the pins should be going sometime in June. I'll see if I can also launch a new Kickstarter for volume 2, well, not volume, but issue 2 of the comic. I would love to do that at the beginning of August. I have no idea if I can. I don't know if I should have said that. If you haven't already, you can sign up for my website at www.otherrealmstudio.com. Let's see. Wow, that's too much. Okay, here we are. Let's scroll by it. www.otherrealmstudio.com. I have a website with samples of my work. I'm also open for commissions. Currently, I don't have any projects right now. This would be a great time to get on my schedule. Come on, brain. Tick over. What was the next item? Newsletter. So, I have a newsletter here. I am working on writing a new one to send out. I was going to send it last week. But I always want to wait for more news. So yeah, I'm definitely not going to be spamming the newsletter to you. It takes me forever, but I do try and make it worth your while. But it's also the most reliable way to see what I'm up to. Because, you know, algorithms and stuff, it's hard for everyone who follows me to actually see what I post. That's just how it goes. So, if you sign up for the newsletter, I'll have a schedule on here of when I'm doing the art streams, and I'll have the schedule going on for when the comic will be released, and all that good stuff. Also, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're watching there, or on Twitch, or you can follow me on Facebook, most likely. And that's where I do all my art streams. I'm streaming simultaneously to all of them using Restream.io, which is a fun little piece of technology. Well, thank you all for keeping me company, and I need to go to bed before I just fall over. So, good night. I'll see you in the other realm.